Hi, Beto. My name is Wendy, and in full transparency to everybody that's in this room right now, I'm not a Democrat, and I'm not a Republican. I'm an independent voter, so I don't have a base you can pander to if you were gone, and I don't think you are. I kind of believe you are genuine. As a woman in Texas right now, I will vote for you simply by virtue of being born a woman in the state that I've come back to that is no longer blue, but is red and scary as hell. But I have a question for you, and this is about the last budget vote. When we talk about DACA, and we talk about the dreamers that everybody in this room knows, I know a ton of them. And I listen to you say, we're going to fight for the dreamers, and we're going to fight for the dreamers, we're going to fight for the dreamers. In this last vote, you and Miss Lee bucked your party. Now, I don't like Nancy Pelosi, I'm okay with that. But what I'm not okay with right now, and I need you to explain to me in layman's terms, is how did that yes vote, how did that not cost the leverage you have for DACA? I'd like to understand that, because I don't know what you know, but I know that we need our dreamers. And we need everything we can to fight for them. I am a white woman. I don't speak Spanish. I'm not from Mexico. I don't know the battle. But I know my neighbors. I know my Iranian stepfather who fought for his citizenship for 3 decades. So he gets to be here. When the Obama administration passed the DREAM Act, we gave status to 800,000 people. They are no longer illegal. But y'all voted yes. Rand Paul stood on the floor and said, this is same old business as usual. The debt ceiling's going up and we're going to burden our babies. So I'm not trying to be combative, but I care and I'm worried. And I want to know why y'all voted yes.
Thank you, Wendy, for being here and asking a really tough, important question. So what was in the budget agreement that we voted for? After 5 separate continuing resolutions, these stopgap funding measures that keep the government open for 3 weeks, 4 weeks at a time, where if we fail to renew them, the government literally shuts down as it did 3 weeks ago. And federal employees don't get paid, and service members don't know if we have their back, and veterans are turned away from the VA. We had an opportunity to get this budget and this country and our federal government funded for 2 years. After people in Houston and Rockport and Port Arthur and Orange and Nome and China were waiting for disaster relief from the federal government for months with no answer. The House had passed $81 billion to see it languish in the Senate and potentially die. To have $89 billion come back with certainty that is going to come to Houston, that's going to go to Puerto Rico, that's going to be in Florida, that's going to get to the people in the communities that are depending on it, like the people that I have met all throughout Southeast Texas. When you have an opioid crisis that is claiming the lives of tens of thousands of people in this country, and though the president declared this a disaster, he provided no money for it, and you have billions of dollars in this budget agreement to begin to tackle this issue and save the lives that we're losing today. Yes, that's a big budget, and yes, it adds to the deficit, and no, it is not perfect. But I cannot allow the perfect to become the enemy of the good and to make lives better for those that I represent and I care about. And yet, at the end of the day, after that yes vote, though the resources are going to come to Southeast Texas that need it, there are 800,000, maybe more, in fact there are more, over 1 million young dreamers in this country who gain no greater certainty and are a day closer to potentially being deported back to countries that they do not know, languages that they've never spoken, where they no longer have family or connections, and if they are successful in those places against those long odds, that success will benefit that place, not ours, not Houston, not Texas, not this country. El Paso, Texas, this defining immigrant community, is also a community of dreamers. And it pained me not to be able to help them in this vote. But here's the decision that I made. If I vote no, and if we are successful in bringing down this budget bill, and we were already in shutdown, the government had been shut down at that point for 4 or 5 hours, and we continue to shut down the government of the United States, will that shutdown lead to the desired goal of protecting those dreamers? If we keep the government shut down another day, and then another day, and another day, is Paul Ryan going to say, all right, you guys win, I'll legalize all 1 million dreamers in the United States of America, and Houston can have its money, and we'll solve the opioid crisis because you shut down the government of the United States. I watched Ted Cruz shut down the government of the United States for 16 days in 2013 because he was trying to stop Obamacare. He thought too many people were getting too healthy, had too much insurance in this country. And though it wasn't a budget issue, he was going to shut down the budget and therefore the federal government of the United States. 16 days later, costing billions of dollars to the national economy, he was nowhere closer to getting rid of Obamacare. He did not achieve his policy goal by shutting down the government of the United States. I did not see how this was going to achieve our goal. I think it would have felt good for people who wanted to know that I was standing by them. Shit, I can't see how Beto's going to get there with this vote. And he may have just jumped over the cliff, but he did it for us. And there was part of me that was compelled to do that. I wanted those dreamers back in El Paso to know that I'm with them 100%. Even if it is somewhat foolish, even if I'm not going to be able to get there with this vote, at least they'll know that I'm with them. But I want to do what is right, I want to do what is pragmatic, and I want to get the job done. And so I have spent this time talking with, and more importantly, listening to my Republican colleagues to find a way that we can structure a deal that provides the opportunity for those dreamers not just to stay here, because they've been here already for most of their lives, but to be able to contribute to their full potential as U.S. citizens. And in addition, we do not do this at the expense of the original dreamers, their parents who made the excruciating decision to leave their countries, bring their young kids to our country to be more successful here. You know, one of the pillars of the president's proposal to legalize dreamers is to end what we know as migration, or family migration, or what they call chain migration. The way that this country has grown for 230 years. And in talking to dreamers yesterday, and I called almost every dreamer that I knew in Texas to share with them why I voted the way I did, and my commitment to ensuring that we are successful in protecting the dreamers here in this country. They said, Beto, do not vote for any deal that deports our parents, that militarizes our communities, that ends the ability for us to sponsor other family members to come here and be with us in this country and our community. So I'm going to follow their lead in this. I'm going to work with Republicans. I'm going to do my best to get this done. I just don't think that voting no was going to get us there. But I appreciate you asking the question because it was about the toughest vote that I've taken in my life.
My name is Esther. I've grown up in the United States since I was 3 years old, in Houston, Texas since I was in elementary school, and I'm a DACA recipient. I'm a senior at Harvard College. I'm a senior at Harvard College, majoring in social studies. I want to be a lawyer one day, and you talked about home earlier. This is my home. This is my home, and I try my best not to be afraid, but it's really difficult when I wake up every day to news reports of people like me being detained. Congresswoman Jackson Lee brought up the fact that you worked on this budget deal with her, and that this is supposed to be a budget for the people. I'm not sure if you forgot, but I am a member of the people. Me and 1.8 million other dreamers like me. Every day, 122 DACA recipients lose their protection from deportation, and more than 19,000 already have. And yet, on Thursday, you chose to vote for a continuing resolution that did not include protections for people like me, or at the barest minimum, a commitment from the Speaker to bring the DREAM Act to a vote on the House floor. We all know in here that these are not ordinary times, and unusual times call for extraordinary measures. I love your speeches, I love your videos, but what I need from you right now is your action. I'm here because I believed in you and I trusted you, and I thought you would vote no on this. I thought you had my back. I thought you would let this administration know that you were unwilling to kick the can down on the road anymore on people like me.
We still believe in you. We still believe in you.
I just don't understand. I don't understand your response. We saw in the Senate that when the government shut down, even Mitch McConnell was willing to make a promise, the commitment that we're looking for from Paul Ryan to bring this to a debate on the House floor. You talked about the millions of Texans who are affected by Hurricane Harvey. I was here during that time. What about the millions of Texans here who are dreamers? I'm having a hard time understanding your decision. And I want you to look me in the eye and tell me that you did the right thing by me. I want to ask if you can do that. When every day I have to live in fear and anxiety of being deported from my home, the place that I've grown up in all my life.
Esther, first of all, I'm glad that you're here. I feel like I made the right decision for the reasons that I gave, for you included. If I thought that by voting no, I could ensure that I could protect you, and I could put you on a path to citizenship, and I could remove that fear from your life so you could focus on your studies at Harvard, come back to Houston, contribute to this community, that's the way I would have voted. Believe me, I would have. I've authored legislation that protects the private information of dreamers, people like you who came forward and gave the federal government your phone number, your address, exactly where to find you, locate you if they wanted to deport you. My legislation protects that personal information from being used to deport dreamers. I'm a co-sponsor of the DREAM Act that would legalize dreamers in this country. I have tried my best to talk with Paul Ryan, with my Republican colleagues, to exact the concession that you're looking for. I came to the conclusion that shutting down the government of the United States of America was not going to get that done. If I had even a hope that it would, that's something that I would have done. I talked to Pete Aguilar, who voted no for the reasons that you just described. He said, Beto, I think there's an 11% chance right now that I can get my bill that I authored with Will Hurd that would protect these dreamers at the concession of some border security done. I think if we shut down the government, it moves up to maybe 15%. That was the guy who most wanted to get it done, admitting that he didn't think this course was going to get it done. So look, this was the toughest vote I've ever taken for the reasons that you're describing. I felt like it was the best that I could possibly do, for you included. And I absolutely did not forget you in this. I didn't forget those dreamers that I've met and I represent in El Paso. The dreamers who are working on my campaign were in my office in Washington, D.C. right now helping us to serve the people of the 16th Congressional District. And I understand and respect the fact that you disagree with my vote. And I tell you, I'm going to do everything I can every day going forward to ensure that you stay here, to fight for you, to protect you, and to put you on the path of full citizenship. So I'm grateful that you're here. These are the conversations that we need to have.
Congressman, may I respond to that?
Please, yes.
United We Dream, NACASEC, and many other immigrant rights groups have told the House Democrats that what we needed from y'all was a vote no on this continuing resolution without protections for dreamers. I understand that on issues like healthcare and space, you've deflected to the experts to hear what was best and make the decisions accordingly. As a DACA recipient, as these immigrant rights groups are fighting, we are the experts. When we asked you to vote no on this, it was because not only did we believe, but because that's what we knew was right. More delays is more deportations. I was really surprised when you voted yes. I want to trust you, and I hope that in the future things will look different, but I hope you understand if right now I'm feeling a little betrayal and a little heartbroken at your choice.
I understand, and I think it's important for me to hear that from you, for you to be here and say that to me. And the only thing that you can do is watch me going forward. As somebody earlier said, it's not what Beto says, it's what Beto does. And so I want you to watch us in the days and the weeks ahead. Because I'm with you. I know that it's hundreds a day, every single day. I know that after March 5th, it becomes thousands a day, every single day. I feel that urgency. These are people that I represent in my community. These are people like you that I want to represent going forward. So I want to work with you, and I want to make this right. I don't think that voting no was going to do that, but I do know that we have our work cut out for us. So believe me, this is my priority. And if you don't believe me, watch us, and let's work together to make this happen. Thank you for being here.